Yo, what's good from sunny Seattle? Today we got lucky. The last few days it's been super rainy all day, all night, and all I could think about is how am I still gonna spend time on the saddle? I got to thinking a little bit more. How am I gonna keep myself protected and dry, but also keep others protected and dry if I'm out on those group rides? So I decided to pick up some new fenders from SKS Germany. So one of the main reasons why I picked up this fender set is it's a quick attach system. It doesn't involve any screws. It doesn't screw onto the frame at all. It uses Velcro straps and another set of straps to secure to the frame. And it features 3 pieces. So let's go over that. The front fender features these 2 pieces that secure to each other with a Velcro strap and attached to the fork. So if you can see this stay here on the fender, it'll go right to the fork like that. And then this other piece will go right to the fork there. So the rear fender has a stay too as well that'll attach to the seat stay, and then it'll extend down to secure to the seat tube. Okay, so I've got some very important pieces here in my frame bag that connect to the fenders. Okay, so we have everything here that secures the fender to the bike. We have these contact point cushions that protect the frame when the fender is mounted. We have 4 straps here that secure the rear fender to the bike, and 1 Velcro strap that secures the rear fender to the bike, and then 4 straps for the front fender, 2 straps that secure the fenders to each other because it's a 2-piece set, and then 2 other straps that secure the fender to the bike itself. So before we even go and put the fenders onto the bike, we need to make sure we get those rubber contacts on each contact point of the fenders here. So we have 4 on the rear fender. We have a total of 6 here because the front fender again is 2 pieces. So let's go through and get all those on. So I'm going to start with the installation of the rear fender first. And before I even begin to mount it onto the bike, I'm going to go ahead and loosen these screws up on the fender just so it can make it a bit easier for me to pivot these points here onto the bike. And then after I get it onto the bike, I'll secure it and make sure it's fastened. One thing too about this fender set is this stay here does extend. So if you loosen the screw here, it'll, if you can see here, it'll extend out. So we can adjust that depending on how it fits to the bike. And I was pulling that from here, but you can also just put it onto the bike. And then if this is attached to the bike, you can just pull the fender up for it to adjust. So for the rear fender, I do want to get these 4 straps on. The biggest thing is when you put these straps into the fender opening, you want to make sure the side that has the stopper is on the outside. So when you put it through, you don't get it pulling straight through, because this will be the side that you fasten the strap onto the bike. So you want to be able to make sure that's secure. So we'll do that for all 4. So again, making sure the stopper is on the outside. So I'll go ahead and begin to get the rear fender fitted onto the frame here. And these 2 pieces at the top of the fender will adjust on the seat stay. They got a little bit of flexibility to them. So just trying to see how it's going to line up. And then the 2 stays here will adjust onto the seat stay. So just getting to feel how to line up. There's a bit of a gap right now that I can adjust, but it'll be easier to do once I strap the fender onto the seat stay. So now that I've got the rear fender in position, I can come in with the strap, tighten it here. You can see this extra piece. If you want, you can cut it. I probably wouldn't cut it too short, just in case I want some flexibility in the future to use it on another frame. So I'll repeat the same thing on the opposite side and secure it. So I'll repeat the same process on this part of the fender, on the stay. Just come through with a strap, tighten it, make sure it's fastened, and I'll repeat the same thing on the opposite side. So another thing with the rear fenders is with these stays, the side that says top, you want to make sure those are pointing upward. So I'll repeat the same process that I did on this side, on the opposite side. Just make sure it's in a good position, not as fastened, so that feels pretty secure. And if you need, you can kind of like push these down and kind of adjust this now that it's on the bike if you just want like a bit of a better fit. So what you'll notice now is a bit of a gap here on the rear fender, and this is not an issue at all. I can adjust this. I'm just gonna make sure I kind of loosen this stay here a bit. I'm gonna do it on the opposite side as well. And then all I need to do is push the fender down like so. And then I can get a better fit there to where it's not just way above the tire. The biggest thing though is on this fender, there is this piece underneath the fender that can hit the tire more easily because it's not the same level underneath the fender. It's not flush with the rest of the fender. So I can't just push this down because this can obviously end up stopping the wheel. So I'm just gonna give a little bit of clearance there. And I think that looks pretty good to me. I'm just gonna push it down just a bit. And once it's in position, I'll go back and tighten the stay so I can keep that locked in. You don't need to go too crazy with tightening this up. And I'll just repeat the same process on the opposite side. So that feels pretty good there. Now remember at the beginning, I adjusted these pivot points too as well for these contact points. So I'll make sure I go through and tighten those up. Same principle, you don't want to do it too tight. Just do it in a spot where it feels secure. So I'll repeat the same process on the opposite side. Okay, so one thing I can't forget about is this extension on the rear fender. And this is something you want to do after you already have the rest of the fender, I think, secure. At least that way it feels much more easier to me. And then what we'll do is take one of the Velcro straps and put it through the opening here and secure it to the seat tube. Now, this side of the Velcro already has frame protect. This fender set does come with some frame protect that you can put on to where these contact points are mounting, but I didn't feel the need to do that. I think this is enough. So I'll go ahead and feed it through the opening here. I'm just gonna kind of pull the fender some this way towards me, just so it's a little bit easier to work with to get it through the other side. And then once I get it through the other opening, I'll just secure it back in place, just making sure that it's fully extended, and then it's good to go right here. It'll strap right underneath my bottle cage. Now another thing I could do is I could take the bottle cage off just to make the install a bit easier, but I'll just again make sure that's secure and tightened. And then what I'm going to do is, once I have this extra piece of the strap, I'm going to feed it back through the start like so, and then I'm going to pull it back through to secure it, and you see how it's kind of running into the bottle opener. So I'm just going to feed it underneath like this, and then kind of finesse and pull this Velcro up just to make sure it's in a secure spot. So it can be on there a little bit better. I think if I wanted to do a much cleaner fit, I would just take the bottle cage off And if I end up doing that in the future, if the bottle cage ever comes off, I'll just readjust this. But I think for right now, it's in a pretty good spot. Okay, so this is the final look of the rear fender installed. One thing I may get in the future that SKS offers is an extension, and that would just keep anybody that's behind my wheel from getting sprayed. But I do love the look. I think it's very sleek and adds to the bike a ton. So for this process, remember, we're gonna have two pieces of the front fender, and it'll fit on like something like that, just to give you a little bit of a visual. So what we'll end up doing is putting the Velcro straps here on each side, the Velcro straps at the bottom, and that will secure the front fender. Well, that's not secure. So right now I have both of the pieces of the fender just resting on the tire, resting on the fork. I want to take one of the other straps with the frame protect and make sure this piece here is on the outside, and I'm going to feed it through. So similar process as the rubber straps that we did for the back. We also just want to ensure that the frame protect is going to contact the frame and not the Velcro side. So I'm going to go ahead and just get this on the other side too as well. And then remember how I had to adjust the rear fender to be able to pivot onto the frame, these contact points? I need to go ahead and loosen these. So let me start with that actually. I'm just gonna loosen that a bit. That just gives us some flexibility. So if you can see this here pivoting, it can just get a little bit more of a comfortable fit onto the frame. So let me loosen this side. Okay. So now it's a bit loose. Oop, maybe a little too. Just gonna tighten it up a bit. And then I'm just gonna see how that fits onto the frame there. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this strap. Not too tight right now. I'm just gonna get it to where it's secure, because I still have to do the other side, right? So I just gotta adjust the bike here a bit. I'm gonna just go ahead and loosen the screws on the opposite side of the fender. So the same process. Okay, doesn't have to be too loose. And then I'm gonna go ahead and grab another strap, and then we're gonna come through on the other side and just, again, see what that comfortable fit is. So I'm doing the same process here on the opposite side. Okay. Again, I'm not gonna get it tight right now. I'm just gonna get it into position to where it's not gonna fall off. So just gonna make sure I got these contact points on the fender in a place that feels pretty solid, and they feel pretty good right now. And before I fully tighten these, I'm gonna get the part of the front fender with the stay onto the fork. And then once I get everything secure, I'll come through and really tighten it down. But I just wanna ensure I have as much flexibility to adjust the fender in a good, comfortable position before I tighten everything down fully. Okay, so same process with these stays. Again, I'm gonna come through, loosen this just a bit. I'm gonna loosen the screw here where the stay adjustment is. I'm gonna do that on both sides. Again, where you can adjust the stage, you want to just make sure where it says top, that's pointing up, because this can easily just rotate just like that. So you just want to make sure that says top and that's pointing upward. For me, I got the brake right here, got the brake caliper blocking how far I can go down, so I don't want to get too close to that, so I'm just giving myself a little room. Definitely want to try to make sure they're even on both sides here. Seems like it's in a good spot, so I'm just gonna leave that be for right now, come through with the strap. Now the thing with this strap is it's just gonna strap right to the fork. Again, leaving this piece here on the outside. So it's already come loose on the other side, but that's okay. Seems like it's in a good position. So again, just having this loose here. And then I'll repeat the same process on the opposite side. Now, one thing about my frame here is I'm gonna have to feed this strap just by the brake line. As you can see, it just runs underneath the fork here on the inside. So again, I'm just gonna get this in a good position to where it's secure and it's not gonna fall off, but it's not tightened like we're ready to ride. So that's in a good spot right now. As you can kind of see, these straps are really long. So just like the straps on the rear fender, you can cut these, or you can just probably just end up wrapping it around and coming over the top of the fender and maybe doing something like that, which I may do for the time being till I'm feeling ready to cut them. So yeah, as you can see, there's a bit of a gap here, but again, we can adjust that by just pushing up on the fender. And again, we can like slide this up too as well, and just play around with the fitment until we get it in a position that we like. Again, just like the rear fender, there's a piece of the fender where the stays are mounted on the inside that isn't flush with the rest of the fender. So you don't want to just go for the most zero clearance look because again, this could end up stopping the wheel. So just want to make sure you can provide enough clearance to where it's comfortable. And I actually think I may need to loosen this a bit here. Okay, so that's about as loose as where it can get. All right, so I'm gonna just play around with the fitment a bit, adjust this front piece, and you can see how that can kind of pivot like that. I probably want it somewhere there. So I'm gonna go through and just tighten that a bit. So what I'm gonna do is come back, adjust this fender. It's a bit close to the wheel, so I'm just gonna slide it up ever so slightly. And the thing about this is you do have some flexibility. The downside isn't there isn't like full coverage on the wheel on the front fender, unless you maybe tuck that all the way in like that, which I'm not gonna do because I don't necessarily like the look of that, but I think how it's already set up will do. I'm just gonna slide it up just a bit. Maybe think about there will maybe be the final position. And just gonna go ahead and tighten this up. Gonna do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so that seems like that's in a good spot. And then once I have the straps fully tight, then I'll be able to get it done here fully. So still looking close to the wheel there. I want a little bit more clearance on this other side. So I'm just gonna pull the fender up a bit. Then I'm just gonna tighten this piece here. Same thing on the other side. Okay, so it seems like it's in a good spot. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten the straps up top fully. And I already got a little bit of movement, but that's okay. I can always just pull it right up and adjust it. Make sure that's good and tight. And then just like that, you see like the extra piece that could potentially be cut. So I'll repeat the same process on the opposite side. So it's pretty secure up top. Looks like there's enough clearance. Same process here for the stay. Come through and just tighten that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and tighten that screw here. I'm gonna tighten there. You can see this extra strap here on the fork. Could just end up cutting that. For right now, I'm just gonna wrap it around, come back fully, and then just connect to the little piece of Velcro on the other side. Repeat the same process on the opposite side. Again, on this side of the fork, I've just got to maneuver around the brake line a bit. And I'm just going to pull it around for right now. But I probably will end up cutting this just so it's not getting caught in the spokes. But for right now, it's fine because I don't have my scissors on me. So this is the final look of the front fender. Fender feels really, really close to the wheel actually now that I've got it in position. But what I can do kind of is just slide this up on the fork, just to give it a little bit of room. Get a little bit more clearance. But yeah, it's looking pretty good on that front wheel. I do like the look of these fenders a lot. So, great job, SKS. I feel like it looks really solid and fits the bike a lot. I'm not at all worried that these fenders will end up falling off because of how it's secured. I think the numerous mounting points makes it really stable. And yeah, we'll see how we ride through the rainy season in Seattle. All right guys, so that's gonna be it for this one. Appreciate you for coming through and checking out the SKS fender install vid. If you're interested in this set, I'll leave a link in the description for it and you can check it out. And I just wanna say thank you for all the love and support. I see all the comments, the likes, the subs. I feel like the cycling community has showed up in a major way on my channel by me just documenting my journey, my perspective, and trying to show the cycling community through my point of view. And my aim is just to inspire, to get more people on bikes and to get more people out and just get people interested into cycling, no matter what type of cycling that you do. So I'm looking forward to sharing the journey more. If you're interested in more videos like this and keeping up with the channel, be sure to drop this one a like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss anything. And see you guys in the next one. Holla.